What's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of Living With It. On today's episode we've got this mammoth gigantic motorcycle parked right over here, the TRIUMPH Thunderbird Storm. So let's go and chat about this motorcycle and let's get to know this a little bit better. So when you think about cruisers, the first thing that pops in your mind is big American V-twin engine with a high tank and low seat, and the brand you associate that with is the Harley Davidson. However, this is none of that. This is the British way of doing things. It does not have a conventional V-twin engine. It has a parallel twin, but more on that later. To put it into perspective, it would be like comparing a bodybuilder versus a powerlifter. One is the traditional way of doing things, the other is an unconventional way of doing things. Both are immensely strong, both lift weight, but they both have a different approach, which defines the final outcome of the product. The Harley being the bodybuilder and this being the powerlifter, as it breaks out of the stereotypical mold of a cruiser. So 1950s was the year when Triumph had a motorcycle called the Thunderbird, which was a completely different motorcycle from the cruiser format. However, in the mid-2000s, Triumph decided to revive the name and assign it to a big cruiser, which is this motorcycle over here. So when the Thunderbird was launched in India, I was never really a big fan of the styling of the bike, as I found it a bit odd and the proportions of the bike were a little off for my liking. However, I've been riding this motorcycle from a couple of days, and let me tell you guys, it has really grown on me. I mean, it's got a certain charm and a charisma which I cannot point a finger on what it is, but it has won me over, and I have really started to like the styling and the way this bike looks. The centerpiece of the motorcycle has to be the engine. I mean, look at it guys, it is absolutely massive. You have to see it in person to realize how big this engine really is. It's got a 1700cc parallel twin motor, 4-stroke liquid cooled engine which delivers about 96 bhp with about 156 Nms of torque, which is quite a lot guys. So there are a couple of cool features on the engine which I have to show you guys. So as you can see, these fins on the engine, these are there purely for aesthetic reasons, as it's a liquid cooled engine and it does not really need them. The other thing is these two things. These two things signify that the engine is a dual overhead cam engine, and all these design elements really makes the engine look beautiful and masculine. So the engine is mated to a 6-speed gearbox with a belt drive at the back. So let's talk about the handling of this motorcycle. Maneuvering this motorcycle at a standstill is a real task, as she weighs about 340 kgs wet, and it's got a huge tank of 22 liters, and this particular one weighs even more than that because of the additional of the saddlebags and the crash guards and these huge seats. So it's a real task to do that. In slow speed traffic city riding, it's again very heavy. All the weight is felt on your shoulders and your arms. It's kind of like a mini workout, and sharp corners really need to be planned ahead of time because it's not the most nimble bike and it takes time to dip into the corners. However, where you will enjoy this motorcycle is on the highway. When you're going on the highway cruising at 100, 110 and you get a long sweeping bend, that's where you're really going to enjoy this bike, and it's absolutely fantastic to ride the bike out on the open roads. Up front we've got a 47mm Showa forks over here, and at the back we've got a twin spring adjustable Showa suspension which cannot be visible right now due to the bags. While riding the bike, the ride quality is pretty good. In small bumps, potholes, it just glides over that. But if the bump is a kind of a big one, it does unsettle you a little bit. But however, that could also be down to the setting of this rear suspension, because it might be tuned for my friend's weight, which is significantly heavier than mine. On the braking front, the bike is equipped with dual ABS. It's got a 310mm twin discs in the front and a single disc at the back. However, it's a heavy motorcycle and it takes a significant amount of pressure on the lever to bring the bike to a standstill. In my opinion, the front brakes lacks the bite. However, the rear brakes feels very positive, and if you are a super bike rider like I am, we use a lot of front brake, but in order to ride this particular motorcycle, we need to change the style and we need to use more of the rear brake as well. So it's about time I introduce the owner of this humongous motorcycle, and he is like his bike only. So Gogi, come on in the shot.
What's up, bro? What's up?
So this here is Gogi. He's a very good friend of mine, and this bike belongs to him. And as you can see, badi bike, bada banda fits him perfectly. And also, guys, don't mess with his bike. He's a ex-security guy, so don't mess with his bike if you ever see it on the road.
Beware.
Beware. So Gogi, I'm going to start this segment of living with it. So this is how it works. I'm going to ask you a few questions for the viewers, and we are going to have to answer it for them. So let's start with the first question. How long have you owned this bike for?
18 months.
About 18 months that you owned the bike. And why did you buy this TRIUMPH Thunderbird Storm?
Because of the size and my size. I don't get anything on my size. I own a Enfield 500 also. That also looks like a cycle too.
Cycle too. Yeah, I know. I agree with him because I've seen him on the Enfield. So that looks like a cycle. Like normally for us, it looks normal, but for him, it looks like a bicycle. So I would like you to share your experience about owning this bike.
It's a very comfortable bike. It's very smooth on the highway. It's a bit tedious on small roads while turning. Otherwise, it's a class bike.
So Gogi, what's what on this bike? Guys, before he answers this, let me tell you something. This bike is loaded with so much stuff that it's going to take a while to explain everything. So whatever the big stuff is there, Gogi is going to explain it. So Gogi, go ahead.
I might miss a lot of things there because I put the works inside this. I'll start from the beginning. I've got the visor here. I've got the mobile case. The lock for the fuel tank, it doesn't come. You've got to put a lock here. I've got the foot pegs here.
Highway foot pegs.
The guard, front and back. I've got a skid plate down there. The horns are also changed. And you got the aftermarket exhaust, saddlebags, the seat. Almost basically everything is changed in the bike.
So this completely transformed this bike.
Yeah, I forgot another thing. The mirrors. That's what I said.
So like I was saying, this completely transforms the motorcycle, and if you look at a standard Storm and if you look at this, it's like day and night. Let's talk about the positive aspects of the bike. All yours.
This bike is very comfortable to ride. It's very tough. It's built like a tank actually. And the road presence you can make out from here. It's amazing.
And I think you would agree that it's very smooth to ride as well.
Yes, no vibration at all.
No vibration at all.
Very smooth.
So on the highways, guys, this bike is extremely smooth. So let's talk about the negative points of this motorcycle. So Gogi, go ahead. All yours.
So first of all, this bike is very heavy. Secondly, the handling. While turning, it's quite heavy. And the third part is the accessory. It's very expensive. You got to import everything. Everything comes from the UK. You got to wait for 4 months for that also.
And I've had a few observations. I think you will agree with me on certain things. I think it lacks the gear indicator.
Yes, that's one part.
Because every time when I was riding it, or by the way guys, I forgot to mention I've been riding this bike for a couple of days. So he's very generous enough and he's left it with me. So yeah, I found the lack of gear indicator, and I think the clutch is pretty heavy of this motorcycle. I find
suits me actually.
Suits you, yeah, you're a big strong guy, but I think for normal riders like us, the clutch is on the heavier side. And I think another problem, I don't know if you face or not, but I noticed whenever I was riding this bike and I was going over a speed breaker,
You got to slow down.
you got to slow down and you have to be very careful.
That is where the
skid plate comes into play. So that's a very good thing what he's done on the bike. He's got the skid plate. So you can damage the engine very easily, and you don't want to be doing that on an expensive motorcycle like this. So I guess that's about that covers about the negative points about the bike, right?
Yeah.
How much does it cost for a normal servicing maybe?
Normal servicing is somewhere near 10 to 12,000 bucks.
10 to 12,000 bucks
Yes.
to give it for a company. So guys, to put it into perspective, it would be costing a bit more than a Japanese bike, but definitely less than Harley's, because I have a few friends who've got Harley's, and when they give the bike for servicing, it definitely crosses 12,000. So relatively okay to maintain. Would you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah guys, that's about the maintenance part of the motorcycle. So Gogi, out of 10, rate this bike. What would you give it a rating?
I would give it a 7.5.
A 7.5, so pretty good score. So guys, this right here is a 2014 model, and if you want to buy this motorcycle, there are a few aspects you need to remember. First and foremost, let's start with the pricing of the motorcycle. A motorcycle like this sells for anything between 11 and 12 lakhs, but this motorcycle is loaded with accessories, so the pricing will change completely. Another thing guys, you have to remember, it's a very heavy motorcycle, so it's more likely to have taken a drop while maneuvering the bike. So the first thing when you're going to check this motorcycle is this part. The primary cover, check underneath over here, check the crash guards for any signs of marks or any signs of drops. So these are a few aspects you need to remember while checking this bike. Plus guys, if you're buying a Triumph which is a newer model, you can always go to the company, take out the service records, take out the history of the bike and find out what's what. So these are a few advice which I would like to give. Would you agree with me?
Definitely.
So that gives me the final question which I have to ask Gogi. So Gogi, can we take this bike for a ride?
Of course.
Got the key. So let's go and take this bike for a ride. Let me run you through what it really feels like to ride this motorcycle. The power delivery is different to the V-twin engine as the layout is different. However, the bike sounds similar to it. The power lies in the lower and mid-range of this bike. What I mean by that is, for example, if you are riding a super sport motorcycle, most of the power lies in the higher end. Whereas in this, it's the opposite. It's in the lower end. The bike has got a good amount of kick, but it does not like to be ridden hard. So the best way to ride this motorcycle is shift it into 6, cruise at 100-110 kilometers an hour. The bike is hardly breaking a sweat, and it's at probably 2,500, 3,000 RPM, and you are cruising in complete silence and smoothness. It was a really different experience riding this huge cruiser motorcycle. Normally I ride my super bikes and it's a very different experience riding this. But I'm starting to get the magic of a big cruiser. Who knows, maybe in the future I might get one. So guys, I would like to put a special thanks to the owner for bringing this bike. So Gogi, thanks a lot for showing it to us and letting me ride this bike. Guys, I'm going to end the video now. Till the next time, keep the rubber side down, over and out. Oh wait. Do subscribe to my channel if you haven't, like the video and comment. So guys, see you later. Bye bye.